Endeavor bills itself as a global network for high-impact entrepreneurs. It selects, supports, and invests in category-defining companies that are impacting economies around the world. One of these Endeavor companies is Nomad, a company that helps people in Brazil safely save and spend. Joining me now to share more is Lucas Vargas, Nomad's co-founder and CEO. Lucas, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What is Nomad?
Nomad is a fintech company that helps Brazilians protect against volatility. We help them save, invest, grow their wealth, and spend offshore. We do that by offering both cross-border wealth management and banking. 100% of our customers are residents in Brazil. And historically, it has been very hard for a Brazilian to hold assets abroad. So we create this infrastructure to make it very easy, convenient for them to diversify and build wealth over time.
How do you protect customers from volatility, and who specifically are your customers?
The typical customer is the Brazilian upper middle class that historically has not had access to the same products and services that a private banking customer has. We do that by offering an FDIC-insured bank account here in the US, KYC compliant. Basically, we work with partners here to make it a very easy and transparent and simple solution inside the Nomad ecosystem. We offer that FDIC-insured bank account. We connect with other layers of infrastructure and products, a US-issued debit card, payments, wire, ACH, some other solutions. And we also offer an investment account. We are a broker-dealer here in the US, so we also give access to stocks, ETFs, REITs, fixed income, CDs, bonds, treasury, all that in a very easy, consolidated way for a Brazilian who lives in Brazil. And for us to do that, we also have to be compliant and to have a very simple and easy way for them to be onboarded from Brazil. So we bridge that gap by connecting infrastructure and compliance layers both in Brazil and in the US. And it's a very easy and seamless solution.
Would you say you're serving underserved areas?
Well, when we came to market in 2020, there was no solution like that. An easy way for you digitally to be onboarded instantly with your domestic document, right? There was nothing like that. But just like with B2C innovations, once you find an opportunity, if it really works, you're going to be seeing other competitors. So when we came to market, it was definitely one of a kind, the solution. Over time, we're seeing more and more with technology, with some other solutions. We're seeing that offer to start to expand. But when we came to market, we were definitely the first to offer that simple digital solution for Brazilians.
And I'm sure that fact speaks to your rapid and high growth. Can you talk more about that growth?
Of course. We launched in November 20, so about 5 years ago. When we launched Nomad, it was still the middle of the pandemic. So, and especially in Brazil, things were not good. Brazilians were not allowed to travel to many countries in the world. They couldn't go to Europe. Even the US was forcing a 15-day mandatory quarantine. So when we came to market in late 20, the international traveling was not happening. The reason why I say that is because we decided to go to market focusing on that specific use case. If you travel abroad, Nomad is going to be helping you, but no one was traveling for the first 12 months. We actually kept we were confident that after travel rebounded, we would be able to have a very good product. And it happened. So in November 20, when the US lifted that 15-day quarantine, it was when we saw the validation of the product. Fast forward 5 years, today we have close to 4 million customers. We just surpassed $100 million earlier this year in run rate revenue, started generating cash. We're growing over 100% year over year. So it's been a good 5 years for us, even though at times people don't see all of those bumps along the journey. First year really hard, but since then it looks like there has been validation and support for what we've been doing.
What sacrifices have you had to make as an entrepreneur to get this to a successful place like you have?
Well, being an entrepreneur in Brazil, there are a few market conditions that you are already exposed to from the beginning. One of them is inflation. That's something that exists when we are raised with that. So having experienced from our early days the uncertainty of the market, those challenges, those are typical from an emerging market. I think those conditions, those market conditions, they actually shape the way we think, the way we behave, and because of that, we try to frame uncertainty and risk as opportunities. So in our case, in the Nomad case, when we thought about this opportunity, what we really wanted is, let's establish a bank in the US. Let's build a bank in the US, and why can't the upper middle class has access to something like that? And of course, no one was supportive of such a not conventional idea. But I think that coming from emerging markets and having been raised in such an environment is something that helps us shape the way we think, the way we build our companies, and I think it's helped us. When we look back, I think it was part of our DNA and what's helping us now.
And I understand that Nomad falls into the category of cross-border finance, which is becoming a trend. What is cross-border finance, and how is Nomad fitting into that ecosystem?
Great. So when we talk about cross-border, we're talking about connecting to different jurisdictions, right? Those could be a payment solution. It could be just money movement. It could be thinking about assets in different countries and helping bridge the access for individuals that historically have not had access to that other jurisdiction. So in our case, we were born primarily to serve one customer by offering them a product in another region, in another country. So by definition, we were born as a cross-border solution. 5 years ago, the industry was very different. The pandemic, as we all know, accelerated multiple things. One of those is just moving people to accept digital solutions more easily. And we see that in multiple markets. E-commerce is kind of obvious for everyone, but in finance, that has also happened. Just KYC, knowing who is the customer, who was born in a different country, who has never actually visited your country, here in the US, for example, before, it was very hard for you to get institutions here comfortable with serving a customer that had never been here. But the pandemic actually created multiple solutions, infrastructure, compliance ones, multiple layers that are validated in multiple countries and that help bring trust to the different entities involved. So in our case, cross-border from the beginning was something that it was part of our DNA. We actually have been thinking about how can we build trust in the different regions, in the different countries with the different actors that participate in our architecture of solutions. And what's interesting is that the more modern technologies, the movements that we're seeing with blockchain, stable coins, they actually have the potential to really transform what has been this 1.0 access that we've been building into a 2.0 connection to make availability, to make that connection easier, simpler, cheaper, much more convenient. So we are a fintech. We were born 5 years ago, but from another perspective, we are actually built on top of an infrastructure that is traditional, fiat. And so now we are also seeing ourselves in the middle of this transition to not only navigate, but actually to push what's going to be the 2.0 cross-border infrastructure, which is exciting because everything is changing and there are lots of opportunities.
In our last minute, why are you an Endeavor entrepreneur?
10 years ago, I had the privilege of being the COO of another startup in Brazil. The co-founder of that startup was an Endeavor entrepreneur. And when we were working on our succession, we actually took advantage of the Endeavor network because he was an Endeavor entrepreneur. So 10 years ago, I actually took advantage of the Endeavor support. And when later we sold the business, and when I founded Nomad, when we were in the process of scaling Nomad, being part of Endeavor was just a natural opportunity for me because I know how much it can help global entrepreneurs succeed with the network, with the high caliber of the connections. So it's been a privilege to be part of the network.
Thank you for joining us, Lucas, at the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks a lot.